will be protected. Reiterating the argument of our first speaker, our right to liberty includes not merely freedom from bodily restraints, but also the right of an individual to contract, to engage in any common occupations of life, to acquire useful knowledge, to marry, establish a home, and bring up children. The American Psychological Association and several supporting medical and social welfare organizations assert that homosexuality is immutable and that gay men and lesbians form stable, committed relationships deserve the social, psychological, and health benefits of marriage and are as fit and capable of parenting as heterosexuals. Ladies and gentlemen, through the legalization of same-sex marriage, the rights of the LGBT Filipino community to life and liberty in their ultimate pursuit of happiness will be guaranteed. With this, I rest my case and submit myself for interpellation.
Now for the second speaker of the negative side for the interpellation. Good morning, Ms. Speaker.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
You have stated in your constructive speech about discrimination.
Yes, Mr.
Is there any law that provides criteria for any acts regarding discrimination?
The Philippine Association of Psychology states these activities as discrimination, Mr. Speaker, regarding
We cannot qualify
homosexuality.
that as discrimination because there is no law that states that there are requirements for such discrimination acts.
Just because of there are no law that states on the requirements for discrimination doesn't mean that discrimination is not present, Mr. Speaker.
Do you have any statistics, Ms. Speaker, which speaks about discrimination here in the Philippines?
I have the statement of the Philippine Association of Psychology that states that discrimination is indeed present within homosexuality, Mr. Speaker, and I think that
Isn't it, Ms.
enough.
Speaker, that a single incident cannot qualify societal
But
discrimination?
there is not a single incident, Mr. Speaker. There are numerous
So you
incidents.
are confusing us that there is no any single incident regarding discrimination. So why is it that you're pushing regarding discrimination, Ms. Speaker, in your constructive speech?
Discrimination because they are not allotted the same right as
Okay,
that
I'm
of
already
heterosexual
satisfied.
couples, Mr.
May I proceed,
Speaker.
Mr. Moderator, to my next point?
Yes, you may proceed.
You stated in your constructive speech regarding adoption. Would you agree with me that adoption laws in the Philippines already exist?
Of course, Mr. Speaker.
Would you agree with me that adoption is a long process and it will take time?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any law that requires adoption after marriage, Ms. Speaker?
No law requires adoption after marriage.
Okay,
Mr.
indeed,
Speaker.
there's no requirement that after same-sex marriage, they will
Well, it is their
adopt.
choice if they
May I
want to
proceed to my
adopt.
next point, Mr. Moderator? You stated in your constructive speech regarding rights. Would you agree with me, Mr. Speaker?
Yes,
Ms.
the
Speaker?
right to life and liberty precisely, Mr. Speaker.
Would you consider homosexuals as Filipinos?
Of course, Mr. Speaker.
Is there
That is
any
why I
laws?
am fighting for their
Is there
rights.
any laws, Ms. Speaker, that which speaks about homosexuals and heterosexuals have different rights here in the Philippines, Ms. Speaker?
The homosexuals
So if
are
there is no law regarding that, we are under equal protection of the
But
law.
Mr. Speaker, you do not guarantee them the same right. It means that there is
May I proceed to my
disparity
next point?
between
I've already
them.
satisfied, Ms. Speaker.
Okay, you may proceed.
You made mention in your constructive speech regarding stigma will be eradicated.
It will be minimalized and then eventually eradicated.
So again, there is no law that guarantees criteria for discriminatory acts, Ms. Speaker.
There are a lot of law regarding discrimination, Mr. Speaker.
I've already satisfied with your answer, Ms. Speaker. So your next point in your constructive speech is which you mentioned in your constructive speech regarding taxation or financial gain, right, Ms. Speaker?
The absolute community of property.
Isn't it that people marry to procreate, Ms. Speaker?
Married is depending upon your...
Yes or no, Ms. Speaker?
Let her qualify.
Okay, Mr. Moderator.
It's about marital life, Mr. Speaker. You enter into marriage to enter into marital life.
Is that all,
Either
Ms.
for
Speaker?
companionship or if you want to build a
I'm
family.
already satisfied with your answer.
Alright, so what is
Regarding
your
our
point then,
family
Mr.
code, Ms.
Speaker?
Speaker, regarding our family code,
Okay.
marriage is the primary purpose of marriage is for procreation. Would you agree with that, Ms. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, Speaker, but the commissioners...
Yes or no, Miss Speaker?
I am qualifying my answer.
You have already qualified your answer?
I have not, Mr. Speaker.
I've already satisfied with your
Mr.
answer.
Speaker...
Let her answer. Let her answer.
Okay.
So,
Do you agree with his question a while ago?
no, because I have here exactly...
Okay, isn't it that people marry?
Excuse me.
I have here exactly the commissioners of the family code stating that procreation is not the main purpose and not the sole
I'm already
purpose of
satisfied with
marriage.
your answer. Isn't it that people marry for tax or financial gain, Miss Speaker?
Not necessarily.
Okay, given your answer, which is taxation, are you suggesting that the reason behind marriage is not procreation as what the family code stipulates? So after all, marital life, not family life, Miss Speaker?
Marital life and family life, Mr. Speaker. It is your choice, Mr. Speaker, on what to choose. You do not merely enter into
So
marriage to
indeed,
bear
Miss Speaker,
children.
marriage is not merely for taxation and financial gain.
It is for marital life. It is for yourself to...
So it is
To
already
build a
in congruence
family.
with your constructive speech, Miss Speaker.
How is that so?
May I proceed to my next point, Mr. Moderator? Time's up.
Good, good.
Everyone has the freedom to exercise free will and intellect without violation of the law. Every person must, in the exercise of his rights,
Let's now have the interpretation on the second speaker of the affirmative side.
Good morning again, Mr. Speaker.
good morning.
So you reiterated in your speech that marriage is for the purpose of family life, right?
Yes.
So by this, what do you mean that marriage is for the purpose of procreation?
That is the primary purpose.
Okay, so that is the primary purpose. And so if you do not fulfill this purpose, you are useless, that's it? That you should not be allowed to marry just because you can procreate?
I did not say that in my constructive speech, Miss
Okay,
Speaker.
so Mr. Speaker, you're saying that procreation is for family life. Therefore, homosexual couples should not be allowed to marry because they cannot procreate, right?
Of course, Miss
Okay,
Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. So how about those couples who cannot procreate, like male and female couples who cannot bear a baby?
So you are telling me now, Miss Speaker,
No, Mr. Speaker, please, I'm merely analyzing.
I'm just qualifying my answer, Miss
Please
Speaker.
qualify your
You're
answer,
trying to
Mr.
say, you are trying to say that how about those who cannot procreate? So you're trying to say that they have
Yes, how about
reproductive
those
problems.
who cannot procreate?
So you're
Please just
now
cut
telling
to the
us,
chase.
you're telling me that sex is prior to marriage, Miss Speaker?
What do you mean by that, Mr. Speaker?
Marriage is, the primary purpose of marriage is procreation. So with your question, line of question, are you telling me that sex is prior to marriage?
No, Mr. Speaker, I'm merely stating that procreation is not the main purpose and the primary purpose and the sole purpose of marriage. You are merely discriminating because of procreation. Is it not, Mr. Speaker?
I did not say in my constructive
Okay.
speech that it is the sole purpose of marriage.
But you
because
are
Miss
okay.
Speaker,
I'm satisfied, Mr. Speaker.
Let him.
because Miss Speaker, when you say sole purpose, it is the only purpose. But according to the family code, marriage is for marital life and
Yes,
for
and you are...
family life.
Okay. So how about, Mr. Speaker, I'm just merely analyzing here.
Okay,
How
me
about
too,
those
Mr.
elderly couples who can't procreate? Then what happens to them? They shouldn't get married also?
Marriage, as what I'm telling you, Miss Speaker, before you know that a person could not procreate, it should follow after marriage. That's why I'm asking you if sex is
Then
prior
how
to
about,
marriage.
Mr. Speaker, if they found out that they cannot procreate, then they shouldn't marry? Is that what you're saying?
Miss Speaker, all of us has the chances to procreate. If they already knew that they can, I'm just qualifying my answer. Mr. Moderator, I'm just qualifying my
I'm
answer.
satisfied.
You all have the chance to
No,
cooperate.
I'm just qualifying my answer.
Next question.
So you're saying that you said that all of us
All
have the
of us
chance.
that have the
Okay,
chances.
so is that all of us? Does that include homosexual couples as
All
well?
of us have the chances to procreate.
Mr.
Because if we knew already that we have
Okay,
reproductive
thank you,
problems,
Mr. Speaker,
we
for that.
have the
All of us have the
choice.
chance
We have the
to
choice.
Cut.
We have the choice because we have medical interventions for that, Ms. Speaker.
I will proceed to my next question.
Okay, I've already
Mr.
qualified my answer.
Okay. So you also stated that marriage in the concept of Philippines is based or rocked on culture, right?
Yes, Ms. Speaker.
Okay. Would you agree with me that culture is dynamic, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, Ms.
Okay,
Speaker.
thank you. So, would you agree with me that probably 5 to 10 years from now, these people will agree to
As
same-sex
what have you
marriage?
said, it is probably.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, you also mentioned adoption. So, you also mentioned adoption in your speech, Mr. Speaker, right?
I just counter your point.
Okay, so by countering my point, you stated that adoption is legal for same-sex marriage. Is that what you're saying?
No, because there is no law that requires marriage. That after marriage,
How
married
about-
couple should adopt.
Mr. Speaker, how about those that want to adopt? Same-sex couple who want to adopt but they cannot, Mr. Speaker. What do you do about that right that has been taken from them?
I did not say in my constructive speech that I have taken the right, Ms. Speaker.
But you merely stated that it is not their choice or that there is no law pertaining this and that. But how about if they want
Yes,
to?
there is no law. Because
Yes.
according to your constructive
Okay,
speech,
so there is no law pertaining adoption, but is there a law pertaining that same-sex couples be guaranteed this right to adoption?
that's what I'm telling you. There are no laws
Okay, so there are
speaking
no
about
laws.
that after marriage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, speakers, debaters. Let us now proceed to the